Tonight's story is one of the most disturbing tech mysteries ever reported. A man whose phone began texting him messages he never typed, messages that appeared before he even thought the words. Stay with me until the end, because the final message will change the way you look at your own phone forever. It started on a Tuesday night. Daniel, a 29-year-old software engineer, was replying to a friend. Nothing strange, nothing unusual. He was just confirming plans for the weekend, trying to decide if he felt like going out. And then, a new message popped up on his screen. A message he didn't type, a message he didn't even think yet. It simply said, "Yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes." Daniel froze. He stared at the screen, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. He hadn't written that. In fact, he hadn't even decided if he was going to go at all. He was still weighing the pros and cons in his head, leaning more towards staying in, and yet, his phone somehow knew his answer before he consciously made up his mind. He quickly deleted the message, blaming it on a weird software glitch or a predictive text error, but a sense of deep unease settled over him. It wasn't just a typo, it was a complete sentence, a commitment he hadn't made. The phone felt less like a tool and more like an observer, one that was a step ahead of him. He tried to shake it off, but the image of those words, appearing as if from nowhere, lingered in his mind for the rest of the night. Comment your theory below. I'm really curious to know what you think is happening here. The next day it happened again. He was at his desk staring blankly at his computer, lost in thought. A vague, nagging feeling had been bubbling up inside him for weeks, a quiet dissatisfaction with his job. He unlocked his phone to check the time, and a sentence was already typed in his notes app. "You rethinking about quitting your job?" Daniel wasn't just shocked, he was scared. Because that wasn't a conscious decision. It wasn't even a plan. It was a private, formless thought, one he hadn't spoken about to anyone, not even his closest friends. It was a feeling he barely admitted to himself. His heart started pounding. How could his phone know that? And the more he tried to ignore it, the more the phone seemed to respond. It was as if it were listening. Not to his voice, but to his mind. Random words he'd think would appear in a search bar. A song he hummed in his head would suddenly be recommended on his music app. The device in his hand was no longer a passive object. It had become an active participant in his inner monologue, turning his most fleeting thoughts into digital text. Like the video to support the channel. Every like helps us bring more dark mysteries to you. By the end of the week, the phone escalated. The small, eerie predictions turned into unnerving actions. Daniel would think about ordering a pizza and the delivery app would already be open on his screen, his favorite order waiting in the cart. He'd feel a sudden urge to call his mother, and when he glanced at his phone, her name would appear as an outgoing call, the timer already ticking for a few seconds before he could hang up. The phone wasn't just predicting his thoughts anymore. It was acting on his impulses, often before he was even fully aware of them himself. It was a constant, unnerving presence. And then came the message that made his blood run cold. He was sitting in his silent apartment, overwhelmed with fear, thinking about how trapped he felt, how he couldn't escape this digital mind reader. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. He picked it up. A new message was waiting for him, sent from his own number to himself. It said, "Stop trying to fight it." That night, Daniel decided he'd had enough. He was going to wipe the device completely, restore it to its factory settings. He didn't care if he lost all his data. He just wanted this nightmare to end. But right as he navigated to the settings menu and held his thumb over the reset button, the screen lit up with another message. "Do not do that." He flinched, dropping the phone on the couch. A moment later, another one appeared. "It's not safe outside tonight." Daniel wasn't thinking of going outside. Not yet. But suddenly a chill ran through him as though the phone was reacting to a thought he hadn't fully formed. The idea had been subconsciously planted. If the reset didn't work, his next step would have been to leave, to get away from the phone, to go somewhere, anywhere. The phone knew. It knew his escape plan before he even solidified it in his own mind. It was actively preventing him from disabling it, and now it was warning him against leaving his own home. He felt like a prisoner, with his phone as the warden. Subscribe for more daily dark mysteries. We upload new stories you won't want to miss. At 3:14 a.m., Daniel received one final message. He had been sitting in the dark for hours, too afraid to move, too afraid to even think. His phone lit up the room, but this time was different. No typing, no draft. Just notification, stark and urgent. It read, "Don't open the door." Seconds later, he heard it. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on his apartment door. The sound echoed through the silent apartment, each knock heavier than the last. His heart leaped into his throat. Who would be at his door at this hour? Paralyzed with fear, he crept to the peephole and looked out into the empty, dimly lit hallway. There was nobody there, not a soul. Confused and terrified, he stumbled back, his eyes darting to his phone. A new message had appeared on the screen. It was just 2 words. "You're welcome." To this day, Daniel swears something was outside his apartment that night. Something the phone somehow knew about before he did, and ever since then, he refuses to sleep with his phone in the same room. He'll never know if the phone saved him, or if it was the one that invited the danger in the first place. What do you think actually happened to Daniel? Was the phone predicting his thoughts, or controlling them? Comment your theory below. I read every single one. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check the pinned comment for exclusive links. And remember, some phones don't just listen, they learn.